Hello, friends. It's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another deck review. I know I have been really wanting to post more deck reviews on here. I used to actually write physical deck reviews quite a few years ago and was really consistent with it. But once COVID kind of hit, it became a little bit too much of a chore to keep up. But if you're looking for other deck reviews that I've done over the years and don't mind reading, I do have my blog that has about 100 decks on there that I have reviewed over the years. So today I'm going to talk about the Relative Tarot, I can't talk today, by Carrie Paris. And this is actually the mass-produced version by Wiser Books. And it contains 82 cards. Originally, I don't have all 82 cards right now. I really don't even know what I did with the extra cards. I may be using them as bookmarks, so they may be in their books that I'm currently using. But there's a magnetic class box. And this is a deck that I purchased for me to utilize with the Ancestral Tarot and the Ancestral Grimoire by Nancy Hendrickson. I just felt like the imagery would be a really great thing to help inspire the work that I was trying to do with that. So inside it just says, who am I? What have I come here to do? And how do I find my soul's truth? With this really fun little image. And then inside we have a little ribbon so you can put the deck and kind of grab it out without messing up the edges of this little cardboard box. And fare thee well till next we meet. And I don't know, something about it was just really, it just called to me, and I just thought it would be a really good fit for me. And I have really enjoyed this. So this is actually a deck that I really love to use for my own personal readings. I have tried to use it with others. It didn't really work that well. Or, I mean, it did, but it just felt like it was more my deck. And anyone who reads cards or, does read cards for others may realize like there's certain decks that maybe you like to use for your own personal practice. And maybe it's because I've just been reading for so long that now I feel like I have certain decks that are just like for me, and others that I really enjoy using for others. So like, I love utilizing the Spacious Tarot for clients. I love utilizing the Rosebud Tarot for clients. But the Relative Tarot, which is what I'm talking about today, this one's for me. So here it's just really about, I think what Carrie had kind of said was that she was inspired to make a deck to help create with your beloved ancestors. And so I feel like with the vintage photographs and the project itself, when I was reading up on it, is that she had people kind of submit their vintage photographs from their relatives to kind of add in. And so this one is very much like the way that the book is structured is not so much like a little white book like you would see in a traditional deck. It's more of kind of going off of Mary Kay Greer's work, and also Angelus Arian, to kind of help you understand like your birth card and your life cards and things like that, to kind of give you a little bit of like a tarot blueprint, I guess would be a nice way of putting it. And so here can't talk today. So it seems like the deck is kind of split more into like those inner expression soul cards, and then also your blueprint review, and also giving you an opportunity to understand your significator card in tarot. And so she has kind of the addition of how to figure that out. And it really just talks about, how we're all basically connected and how to connect to that. So this is interesting with the birth and annual cards. And this is why I was like, it's not really like a traditional deck, in that if you are not super familiar with tarot and you purchase this deck, this might be something that's challenging for you to utilize outside of, if you're wanting the book to kind of guide you into that. But if you're someone who's well versed with tarot, you can definitely use it for your own personal practices. So it kind of gives you an opportunity to look at how to figure out your cards for the year, and then also like your tarot blueprint as well as your birth cards. And so it kind of shows you how to do that. It's essentially just kind of utilizing your date of birth and kind of breaking it down to figure out your card. So it's not too challenging. But again, like I was saying, if you're someone that is more interested, or like if this is like the first tarot deck that you ever pick up, you might want a tarot guidebook that would allow you to have like the meanings for the cards, if that makes sense. So hopefully that can help you understand. And so here we have, their kind of like blueprint review and how to figure that out. And also like your significator, how to determine your significator card. So it kind of helps you understand. So like for me, I feel like the Queen of Pentacles is my significator card. That's just what feels right for me. It doesn't mean like that's what it is. So, and it just has that information. So again, like I said, maybe not there are some keywords in here, but it's not going to be like super in-depth. So again, if you're not super like well versed with a tarot deck and you are a beginner, this may not be the best book to start or the best deck to start with unless you are purchasing a guidebook that kind of has a little bit more information. So let's look at these cards. So first off, fun little kind of vintage looking background. Cardstock seems like a little bit thicker than other decks that are mass produced. I have kind of noticed that the Red Wheel Wiser publishing company does like similar kind of decks like this, where it's not super thin. It is a shinier kind of finish. So there is going to be glare. And this deck is actually has gilded edges. Mine's really cracked because again, I have used this a lot in the last year or so. And I use it also for like my personal journaling. I use it for connecting a little bit more to, that's funny, connecting a little bit more to my kind of daily message and things like that. So here's the cards. I'm just going to they're not in order. So sorry if you're looking for a specific card. I didn't feel like playing 78 card organizing. So I love the imagery. There is, again, that Rider-Waite-Smith influence, but then also there's like this beautiful element of having these vintage cards or vintage images kind of put into place with some like artwork and stuff. Sorry. I'm trying not to get in trouble. Let's cover that up. All right. And so some are going to be very similar to what we're used to seeing. And I just love that there is a lot of diversity in this deck. That is something that I was really looking for. And I love these older images and these vintage kind of things. It's been a wonderful tool for my current ancestral journey and kind of utilizing tarot to kind of help me, connect a little bit deeper in different ways. And so it's just, to me, a very beautiful deck. I love kind of the muted colors, but I love how expressive the cards are. I mean, that's a fun little page of pentacles. Like, there's so many fun little images in here and just interesting things to kind of like look back on. Like, that's so fun. Look at this moon. And other images that you're like, oh, wow, that literally looks like a Rider-Waite-Smith card. I mean, this Nine of Wands is so beautiful. And I love that they included so many different aspects of, antique life, essentially, where it's not just like Americanized versions of what we think our history look like. I mean, there's a little bit of like, you can see other cultural influences, such as like you may have seen like the Japanese influence or the Chinese, or maybe even just like some Mexican or just different things that, there's like theatrical moments like this that we're seeing. There's like this kind of Indian influence on here. So I think it's beautiful. And then there's also like beautiful scenes from different old films and things like that, where I don't know. I just think it's a really fun deck. I have truly enjoyed utilizing it for my ancestral practice. And kind of seeing things like this where like the tower, you know, we see the buildings, we see kind of life on the streets, and then they kind of superimposed these images. Same thing with Judgment. It's just a lot of fun. So I don't know if you guys have started an ancestral journey, but if you have, I think that this is a wonderful deck, unless you already have one that you're utilizing that you really feel connected to kind of help you open up that doorway and really find some fun, unique messages from an interesting and unique deck to me. I mean, it's very different from any of the other decks that I have, and I have come to really enjoy and love this kind of collage-y, artistic kind of theme that it has going on with it. But it shuffles well. Again, it's traditional tarot size, so I do kind of tend to struggle a little bit because my hands are a little bit smaller. So I'm awaiting results. So we're kind of, you know, in this space, really. I think it's a fun deck, especially if you're someone like me that has really wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into your ancestral practices, or if you are wanting to kind of connect a little bit more to like historical imagery that isn't something that feels like so challenging to kind of connect to the tarot card messages. But like I said earlier, if this is like your first deck, I would definitely suggest maybe getting a tarot book that feels a little bit more cohesive as to what the card meanings are. But this is great if you're like wanting to kind of dive a little bit deeper into your practice, such as like finding your significator card or your birth card and like your year card, things like that, where maybe it's a little bit more challenging to kind of figure out how to connect to those messages. This is a wonderful gateway into utilizing tarot more as like a tool, not just for personal development, but also for understanding yourself a little bit deeper and kind of seeing some of the lessons that you may be challenging yourself with at this current time. So let me know if you've ever heard of this deck, if this is a deck that you would purchase, if this is something that you like to kind of maybe think about adding into your collection. Do you have any decks by Wiser Books? And I also have the Beloved Dead deck that Carrie and Tina Hart, because I think Tina Hart was the artist on these too. It's very similar artwork. Also created, that is a very beautiful companion with this deck. So if you're looking for an oracle deck that again has kind of that ancestral kind of energy to it, it's also a beautiful deck to kind of add in similar coloring and things like that. Maybe I'll do a deck unboxing of that one next. So have a good one. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, make good choices. Bye.